Hello and welcome to Leverage for Growth. Today we're going to talk about why more leads won't save you, what actually breaks when agencies try to scale. Today I am joined with Adam O'Leary, founder of Scale with Partners. Adam, can you tell us a little bit about Scale with Partners? Who do you help and how?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Jesse. And so what we do over at Scale with Partners is we help agencies go ahead and secure a bunch of partnerships which are able to then send referrals their way on a consistent basis. What happens a lot of the times with agencies is that they view partnerships as almost as luck, where random referrals comes through the door. What we actually do is we actually embed your sales process or your actual product or your service offering into other people's businesses. And what this typically does is this will typically drive 2, 3, even 4 referrals, high quality referrals for each partner every single year. So if you have 10, 20, 30, you can see how quickly this can grow.
One of our conversations, you had talked about getting up to 40 appointments per week. And I was like, all right, you're going to need some systems to scale at that. And it got me to start thinking about our actual topic. So what happens, and you've probably had it happen before, where it just works too well? What happens with the agency when they get flooded? And and can you talk us through that a little bit?
Absolutely. This is actually one of the biggest pains that I have in my business, is because the way that we set ourselves up is that instead of doing regular lead generation, which is like sending out cold emails or whatever they might be, when you have partners, we're talking consistent reoccurring traffic coming to you every single week, usually. So what will end up happening is the clients that we'll work with end up getting too busy. And this is really the biggest problem that will happen, is that they get way too busy. And if their systems aren't structured properly for themselves, what happens is that they have to start turning off or start telling partners, hey, right now is not a good time. And that's not a good thing to tell a partner, right? That's a bad thing that you want to tell a partner, because partners, they're trusting you. If you're embedded in their sales process, they need to assume that every single person that they send your way, you're going to be able to help. And if you have to start turning away people, that's a very bad thing. And this is the reason me and you, Jesse, have now become best friends, because you're all about scaling the business and creating those systems underneath. If you have those systems in place, oh my goodness, what you can do is crazy, because it's a straight shut up. I mean, it's one of those things. If you look at Facebook ads, Facebook can shut down your account. YouTube, same thing. You have all these problems with ads, that the ads start getting more expensive. You risk your ad getting shut down. You risk all these different problems. With cold outreach, I mean, man, that's just getting killed every single year. People get happy about 1% response rate now. When you look at LinkedIn or all this other types of stuff, it's just like every year you have diminishing returns. And the only thing that I've seen after doing this for the last 10 years that is consistently and grows each and every single year is partnerships. It's the only thing I've seen.
A lot of times I talk with clients in a discovery call process. One of the first things I do is I always want to figure out where the actual bottleneck is. And it's not usually what they actually think it is. And one of the questions I'll ask is like, let's just say you got so much demand, like you get, 10,000 appointments or tons of appointments. What's the first thing to break? And it gets people to really start thinking about, okay, if I did get flooded, well, client onboarding. And I'm like, why client onboarding? And they're like, asset collection. I go, okay. And immediately I'm starting to figure out where the actual issues are. And it's really cool when you can turn marketing on and not have to turn it off based around those systems. But man, it sucks when you have to turn it off.
I mean, it's a real pain for people, especially like with agencies. They go through this cycle of ups and downs. So it's like 1 month they have too many clients, which for many, it's only about 3 to 5 clients is their breaking point. They hit that level and then they have to shut off marketing. And then it's this constant cycle of going up and down. And that's a really bad position to be in as an agency, because you really shouldn't. I mean, if you have a true, genuine service that can help people out, the last thing in the world you'd want to do is stop telling people about it. Okay, that is the last thing in the world that you would want to do. And this is honestly why systems are so important, because if you're overworking yourself, right? If you're really stressed out, if your wife is saying, "Look, babe, I need you to spend more time with me," those are bad signals. Those are really, really bad signals. And it's worth taking a look at before you really start scaling and shooting yourself up.
One of the great things about AI is it can look across a lot of different, client case studies and things to try to find patterns. And one of the things that we did a year ago was starting to look at what were the things that made the clients that we worked with be able to have that kind of exponential growth. Warren was one of them, which was going from 15,000 per month to 100,000 per month in 9 months. And I started looking at it, and it wasn't like the most obvious thing until I started just seeing it, and then I couldn't unsee it. And it was the offer. A lot of it had to be based around the offer. And what we at Leverage for Growth and using the method develop is a minimum viable solution. So least amount of effort on your end, greatest results for the client. And when you price it according to value, it's like this most beautiful like icing on the cake that happens with a repackage. And have you found just through your own experience with the agencies that were able to scale as fast as you're able to allow them, did it come down to the offer, or what were some of those things that kind of signified, yeah, you're ready for the floodgates?
Offer is 100% the first thing I look at more than anything else is the offer. Because if the offer is not intact, so I'll break it down. It's super simple. So with an offer, if a partner refers you, okay, that partner's putting a lot of trust in you, okay, to make sure that you actually do right by them. If your service that you offer takes a year or two to genuinely start seeing any sort of results, partners, they lose patience very quickly. And so the first thing I always look for is that instant gratification, because the best thing in the universe that can ever happen with a partner is that they send you a client, you close the client, usually something nice and easy that can get them a simple, quick win. And once they send that client over, if you can get a result within the first 30 days, preferably like the first three, as quick as humanly possible, what this allows you to do is this allows one, you to get great testimonials for yourself, which those testimonials, those case studies that you just got are now a part of your partner's community. Okay, so you've proven that this actually works for the partner. So that's one thing. And then the second thing it does is it actually helps the partner look and say, whoa, okay, this is really, really good. Okay, this actually works. And here's the real trick that I always look for that like makes a grand slam partner is that a grand slam partner is not somebody that you're necessarily sending, hey, I'll send you a referral if you send me a referral. That can work, and it works great for some types of partners, but there's other types of partners. And a lot of the times, what they're really looking for is somebody who can help them, the partner, either get better case studies for themselves, help them upsell that client that they sold you, okay, to be able to retain that client, reduce churn on their side. All of these are very important indicators. So if you're able to really help a partner do those three things, they won't send you just 2 referrals a year. They will send you all of their clients. And this is what I call an embedded partnership.
I love it. It's a different type of model than what most people are used to. Because I think a lot of people do think that referrals are literally like rolling the dice and trying to figure it all out. But there actually is a systematic way of being able to, have that trust and embed that trust in there, which is a beautiful thing. One of the things that I've found, at least on the coaching side for niche and control, so businesses that all of a sudden get flooded with business, one of the first things I always ask them is like, how many hours a week are you working right now? And sometimes they're like, oh, I don't know, like 50, 60. And I was like, oh, okay. Are you working on the weekends? Yeah. Okay. Do you have a family? Yeah. Do they like you working on the weekends? No. I'm like, oh, okay. It's like simple questions. And they're like, oh, okay. And they're like, yeah, I really need to kind of figure that out. And a lot of times it's just like this like happenstance. And sometimes people feel as though in order for the business to grow, they have to sacrifice other areas of their life. And from my personal experience and people that have followed the show for long enough know, like, my first business orders were based around that. And I had to like make this really big mental shift to realize that all parts of your life can actually grow and rise at the same time. You don't have to sacrifice like everything for the business to succeed. So hours is one of the things that I see on the coaching side. And another one is based around just mindset. If I start asking like, what's your growth goals? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And they're like, oh, I don't know, 20% growth. And I was like, you're at 500K. You're at 500K right now. Like 600, that excites you? And they're like, no. I'm like, just like at least double. And they're like, oh, and then like it starts getting them to start thinking about it. And I think it's because they're so close to the trees, they can't see the forest. And I think that one of the greatest things about systems and kind of like that inside out approach that we do with clients is they start to actually see like a future and understanding like about a lot more about vision. And have you seen that as well? Like the clients that are ready for the floodgates have like a different time duration. Like they're not focused on like day and week, but more like quarter and year or decade. Have you noticed that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what it definitely comes down to is like with partnerships, we can't start today and you're going to start seeing money hit the door tomorrow. But the way that I look at partnerships is that, so a standard client, let's say if you're selling, say, a 12-month contract, that's say 50K. So that's a $50,000 type contract that you're going for as an agency. When you're working with partners, these are almost always 6, even potentially 7-figure type deals, right? Because it's not just that one referral that they're sending your way. It's usually after the first one, it's the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and then it's a domino effect from there. So these are much longer term. Usually the partners that I'm going ahead of, the clients that I'm working with, they're looking for the next 6 to 12 months, right? So what's the first wins that we're going to have in the first 6 months, right? Those, if you're, what you'll see, especially when you work with us, is that you'll have partner conversations going very early on. Okay, we have that down to a science. And then in the first 6 months, that's typically when you start seeing partner, whether they be promotions, so they could be a webinar, or it could be jumping on and speaking to that person's audience. It could just be, hey, let's have you send a referral just to test it out. Let's see how it goes, test the waters, right? It could be one of those types of things. You're going to start seeing those start hitting within the first 6 months. After the first 6 months, what really cool starts happening is that you get good results for them. And it all comes down to that offer, right? This is why I always am keen to look, how long is your offer going to take to start seeing results? Or what sort of short-term wins are we able to give? Like, for example, with me, I'm able to start lining up partner conversations very quickly with like your dream partners in a very short period of time. So when somebody sends me a potential client, that's what I promise the partner, is that they will have these conversations going very quickly. And then the long-term goal is obviously to have that money start hitting in the door. But what's great with the partnerships is that even after 12 months, okay, or 6 or 12 months, right? Let's even imagine, okay, I set you up, we get this going, we have all these calls going. These relationships are yours. And this is the coolest part about this, is that you're able to turn on and turn off money. You're literally creating a floor, I guess is the way to put it. You're creating a floor of revenue of just how many referrals you know are going to be coming in the door, how many potential clients are going to be sent to your way. So after 6 months, that floor starts to increase. After 9 months, it increases more. After 12, 16, 24, it's just an increasing position. And what's great about it is that once you start working with more and more clients, you start building a bigger community, you can start working with bigger and better partners. And that's where dreams are made.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like how you look at the offer and you're looking at results, and then from the results, how that impacts the partner and how this compound effect happens as well. It also reminded me that the offer was one part. The other thing that we found as a root cause to having to turn marketing off, when you're kind of like at capacity, is based around founder dependency. Now, that's pretty a simple term, and maybe people don't even really understand it, but it's just like the business is totally reliant upon that founder. And if the founder is not working, then work doesn't get done, or things stop in some form. And one of the quick wins that we do with niche and control in the first 2 or 3 weeks or so is we do this really intense time log. And in 7 days, we can understand what you need to eliminate, automate, delegate, and time block. And very quickly, we take those 50, 60 hours and bring them down to 40 and then 32. And then all of a sudden, they're like, I can breathe. And then we start focusing on vision, and it starts changing everything. But the number one thing that we look at is founder dependency, and starting to remove that. And the more that we remove founder dependency, the more that they can focus on longer duration, and they can make better decisions for the business, and be set up for more of like an active referral kind of program, which is what you're describing. And then also, what do you use that time for? Being able to reach out to people on a more like personalized and very specific basis, as opposed to the volume thing that you're talking about with like the cold email and those types of outreaches and stuff.
The way I look at it is that business is just all about making friends, right? You either get along with the people that you're working with, or you don't. It's that simple. And if all of your partners you get along with, good things start to happen. What's nice about partnerships, and it's exactly what you're talking about here, is like being able to lower that threshold. When somebody starts working with us, we usually look at, okay, how many hours can you actually dedicate to this, right? Because partnerships is all about trust. So this isn't like you send an email and then all of a sudden the money hits the door, right? Like, this is like you're literally building a friendship with this person. We have a process to make that happen and show how it all works over at Scale with Partners. But what really matters here is once you're able to start stepping back from your business using what your process and everything that you do, which I think is fantastic, it's just about scheduling a few calls a week with your favorite people who send you money. Like, I mean, it's really not complicated. Like, it's something I've done over the last 10 years. I mean, for me, I've traveled the world with my wife. We've traveled to over 100 countries now together. And the way that we did it was always with partnerships, right? It was the fact that I could schedule a call on a Tuesday at 3 p.m. with one of my friends and be like, hey, let's go set something up. And then I would have their assistant team and my assistants plan everything, and we would have money hit the door, and then that was basically our fun money for the month. And then we do that every week to just keep those processes going, and that's what it's all about. I mean, it's to me, it's about enjoying what I do. I don't want to be dealing with cold leads. I don't want to have to try to convince people why to work with me, right? It's like if my friends who have seen my work, that have actually seen the results I get, just tell other people about what I do, and then they do that on a consistent basis, you can't be poor. It's that simple. Like, there's always money coming in, because whenever they get a client, you get a client. And then if you have 10, 20, 30 of those, whenever any of those 10, 20, 30 get a client, you get a client. I mean, it's that simple.
If you run an agency, you know the grind. Every client, a custom proposal. Your positioning all over the place. And there's no clear way to scale. I built the Scalable Agency Accelerator to fix this. It is a 7-step proven system that I've used with over 500 agencies to clarify their niche, sharpen their offer, and grow. Right now, you can get step 1 for 7 days. You'll define who you serve, lock in your positioning with no guesswork. Start your free trial today, and the link is in the show notes. This gets me excited to talk a little bit about what does it look like when you actually are ready? Having the systems in place, or the time to have the conversations with their partners, and the fun money, that whole process. You had talked a little bit about even just having time to cultivate those relationships, do it through a very systematic process that you have, and kind of getting yourself ready. On your side, before I start talking about at least on our side what we've seen, what does ready look like, just aside from having some time for it and kind of building those networking partnerships? What else does ready look like?
For sure. So the first thing is making sure that you have an offer. I mean, like an offer that isn't going to take your team 40 hours a week to deliver, right? Like it needs to be very simple. Honestly, the easier the better. Like that is the key. If the best thing in the world is if you can sell something that's push button, you don't have to do too much. Like that's the dream. So first thing is having an offer. The second thing is making sure that that offer can really get those results. I mean, that is how critical the offer is with partners. Then the third part about this is making sure that the founder isn't going to break by scale, or at least they're on track to be able to start handling the influx that's going to start coming through. Because it's like, as I said, with partnerships, the scary part is if you start getting a lot of partners, when they send you clients, you have to deliver. And that is really important. You can't tell a partner no, or at least you shouldn't. It's just not a good thing, because once you say no once, it's likely they're gonna just not. Yeah, it's over. So that's the second thing, is just really making sure that you are, as a founder, you have those systems in place where you can say yes. Because this is what we do over here is at Scale with Partners. We are not something that you can just turn on and turn off. It's something that once you turn it on, we're going up together. After 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, you're in a completely different place than you are right now. So that's really the two most critical that I would say. And then the third part that I would say, it usually comes down to personality trait. So analytic people work very, very well with analytic people. So I usually look at the personality trait of the person, and this becomes very helpful for when I'm actually determining who to start reaching out for. So that's the third thing I would say. And then the last part I would say, to like really make sure that you are like completely ready to go. The biggest mistake I've seen people make, especially agencies, is because agencies can do a little bit of everything for everyone, because they're usually gluttons for punishment. So what matters is having a hyper specific niche that you're going after. And the reason that this is so critical is because if your niche that you're going after is broad, let's just say I help B2B companies, okay? It's very broad, right? Are you talking manufacturers, or are you talking coaches and consultants, right? So when you're looking at partnerships, what you need to think about is you need to think about it as a circle. So there's basically, in every niche, there's a circle of people who also have that same audience as you. So for example, Jesse, you're working with agencies. Okay. So the only people that you should be talking to are people who are hyper specific and have agencies that they're working with, that their community is primarily agencies. So the first thing that we do when we're actually looking for the ideal partners, just so you can see kind of like the reverse end of this, is that if somebody is like, oh, we help agencies grow, but then we look at their case studies and we look at their testimonials and we see that they're also helping coaches and that they're also helping this manufacturing company, and they have different things, it's almost an automatic decline for us, a denial for us, that we won't even approach that partner, because it's honestly not going to be worth it. If you're not exclusively working with agencies, then it's not going to be helpful for us, and our referrals aren't necessarily going to be helpful for you because your case studies don't align with what we're presenting, right? And that's the key, is to be so granular on who you actually work with. That's where you get your best partners. Because if you start associating yourself with partners who work with a little bit of everyone, it's like that saying, it's like you are the five people that you hang out with, right? So if they're working with a little bit of everyone, then you're going to start working with a little bit of everyone. And when you're working with a little bit of everyone, you can't systematize your offer to get that consistent results. And that's bad because you need to make sure that everybody who's coming through, you're able to get results for because that's what partners expect. So that probably is actually more important than the offer is the number 1, 2, and 3 is making sure that your niche is hyper defined.
I did not pay Adam to say that the niche was the most important thing. Having a company called Niche in Control. That's beautiful. Now, it is so true, especially with partnerships, because if you think about the science of business, I might go on a random rant because you started talking about niches, but when you think about the science of business and you're trying to create predictability, when you minimize the variables in an equation, you have more of a chance of actually having a consistent result or predictability built into the business. And so one of those major variables is an offer, and the other one is who you're serving. And there is not a single agency that is able to deliver the same level of value equally across multiple different types of niches, right?
That, what you're saying right there, like, I hope every agency listening to this hears that and truly takes that in, because it's something I made that mistake a lot of times when I was working with difference. And the craziest thing about it is that even it's like when I was talking about the concept of like personality type, right? Like, even like I'm talking like that granular, like understanding who the buyer is. Like, are they A type people? Are they B type? Like, those little details matter because they get completely different results. Like, the more granular you get on that niche, the better off that you're going to be. And it's very easy to understand. So I worked a lot with software companies for many years. These are all SaaSes that I was working with. And when I was working with SaaSes, I started to realize like some of the founders that you worked with, um, like they're all SaaS, but they would be targeting slightly different niches inside of themselves. And what I've started to realize is like, oh, wait a minute, my specialty isn't necessarily working with like enterprise SaaS. It was this specific types of people that I was good. So it's like even by category, there's like subcategories and then there's like subcategories. And I really recommend that you just for a weekend, you don't if you're not able to look and know exactly that mentality of the buyer that you're thinking of, like just take a weekend, go on a walk, right? Don't even have a phone, just a notebook, and just try to think of like the people that you truly want to work with. That you know for a fact, if this buyer type comes through to you, that you know for a fact you can get them a result. That to me has been probably the most awakening moment that I had because it just makes like so much easier. You are able to start getting those consistent results. It's like what you're saying. The more variables that you remove from the equation, the higher the odds are of it. And so it's just hyper focusing on that. I mean, Jesse, you picked a great name. It's in control.
In one of the podcasts I was on, someone was like, "How did you come up with niche in control?" And I was like, "It's actually my wife. She had a cold, and we were driving to Dairy Queen, so my son could fall asleep in the car. And she was trying to say mission control, and it came out niche in control. And I was like, "It's perfect." And she started laughing, so it stuck with me. And I was like, "It was perfect. You chose this one." She's like, "I didn't do it." And then all of a sudden, obviously, it became more popular or whatever. And she's like, "Yeah, I totally made that up." But,
The more niche down you are, the more control you have. I mean, you nailed it.
mm-hmm.
Well, your wife nailed it. You didn't nail
Yeah,
it.
I'll give all credit. All credit to my wife for sure. She'll probably listen to this and I'll be like, exactly. No. Yeah. Couple of quick things, and then we'll wrap it up with the takeaway. First off, I think that variable equation talk, I think that's really important for people to understand, and especially when they're trying to figure out their offer. If you change the offer too much to try to like, because AI is new, a big thing, or like these different services somebody else did, and now I'm going to expand it. The offer should actually be minimizing and being more based around your core competence and whatever gets the results for clients. And the way that I also talk with my mastermind about it is I'll talk about systems as kind of being, it's like your business is like in a sub. and you have like this little tiny crack on the top. And when you have not very much volume or not many clients, that crack is not going to really be that big of an issue. But when you get flooded with business, very similar to what Adam is talking about, it's like the submarine submerges and that little small crack can actually break the entire business. And so I think that it's actually really, really important to fix the foundation first. And some of the things that I've explained in my book and things that people can do to feel ready, at least on the niche and control side, is just making sure that as you take on more clients, it doesn't increase the founder's hours. If you've not figured that out yet, you definitely need to figure that out, because that is the single crack. The moment that the founder is working 60, 80-hour weeks, they lose the vision. They're all stuck in the middle, and then that becomes the submarine that explodes. And being able to develop what's called a delegation system, where everything's out of your head and your team's head into systems and procedures. So that way, as you hire more people, you can kind of plug them into a system that's already working. There's more to it than that, but one of the things that I started thinking about was Warren's way from 15,000 to 100,000 in 9 months. Towards the end of it, we started looking at the hiring process, and we were like, what is taking so long? And it's these account managers. And he started just hiring 2 at a time. And he's like, one of them after a period of time is just not going to make it. So he's like, if I just start hiring 2 at a time, that helped. And that predictability of starting to bring your team up to independence in the shortest amount of time possible is another one of those things that really helps for you to turn on the floodgates and not have to turn it off.
And that submarine analysis is bang on. It is really like those little cracks. And I also love the fact that you just talked about the vision and how, like, agencies, I'm telling you, like, everybody listening to this, you guys are gluttons for punishment. I was for many years. Like, it's just the truth. Like, we get so obsessed, right, with what we're doing, especially like helping the client and doing that type of stuff, that you're so focused on the client's business that you completely forget to focus on your business. And that's a big mistake that I think every agency has made. I've made it so many times in my life. And it's important to, like, remember those things, because as we are looking to start scaling, right? Like, once you are ready to say, okay, you know what, like, let's test the waters. Let's actually start growing this thing. Once you start getting there, I mean, it's true. Each of those little cracks that you have in your business do start to show, right? When you go from 3 clients to 10 clients, right? That's a huge escalation, right? Especially if there is a problem. If you go from 10 clients to 25 clients, that's the other huge crack that you're going to start to face, right? And they're all different pains, right? From 3 clients to 10 clients, you're going to experience totally different pains, right? Something at the 3 client mark is going to feel like a problem where you're in the business, right? You're not hiring out. You don't have the systems in place properly, right? And then you get there and it's like, okay, great, 10. And it's like there was a little crack that you didn't even notice at the 3 client, but then once you get to 10, now it's like an earthquake split the ground in half, right? It goes 3 to 10, 10 to 25. That's what I've seen over and over for agencies. It's like those benchmarks are typically it, and then from 25 plus, that's like all about managing teams and everything like that. But yeah, no, it is interesting. I mean, what you're doing, Jesse, I got to hand it to you. It's fantastic what you're doing. The way that you're helping your clients go ahead and structure this, and be able to systematize their business to be able to break out. So this way, they actually, once they are freed up of their time and they are able to start taking on clients and taking on a lot of partners that are sending them their way, and they can come over to me, right? And I can help them on that next part of the process. And then once their business starts to break again, send them back to you.
Kind of seems like a partnership is forming on the podcast here. I'm like, I'm all in, Adam. I'm all in. So this is cool. Well, Adam, for someone who's listening that's an agency owner, and let's just say they have those cracks figured out and now they're ready, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
So go to scalewithpartners.io. And that's the fastest way to get in touch with me. Once again, that's scalewithpartners.io. You can go there, you can schedule a time on my calendar, and I look forward to talking with you, right? Making sure that your offer is actually good to go. Identifying who your ideal partners are, and we'll sit down together, actually figure out who those perfect partners are, figure out a path to go ahead and start landing them. And we do that all on just the first call, right? Just to make sure that you have it. We can review each of the potential partners that you have. And if you say, look, I would love these guys, these are absolutely who I want sending you business, then we can talk further from there. But the first part is making sure that we have that actual, okay, this is who your perfect person is, right? That you actually do have that niche nailed down that you're going for. Because that makes a huge difference with partnerships.
And so for everybody that's listening that wants to get in touch with Adam, scalewithpartners.io. I'll include the link in the show notes. Adam, I have a feeling like we're probably going to have you on the podcast again. but Adam, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for being on Leverage for Growth.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jesse.